I just want to start it off with a quick question. How many people in here have a phone? Pretty much almost everyone. And my second question to go along with that would be, how many people here have used their phone while driving? Oh, okay. Yeah, almost all of us also. I'd like to start this off with a study according to a new survey by Farmers Insurance Group saying that 87% of adults have agreed that using your phone while driving impairs a person's ability to drive. So today I'm going to try to convince you on why you shouldn't use your phone while driving, and my speech is going to include why people use their phone while driving, some of the risks that go along with it, supporting facts, and hopefully some prevention or tips that can get you out of doing it. So first would be why people use their phones while driving. A lot of times it's just people are just impatient, just want to use it and don't think of the bad things that can happen. Others can be probably you're driving long distance and you want to kill time, so you might want to listen to music or call a friend, because especially if you have no passenger with you, it can get really boring. Another reason could be you might be in a different city or in a different location that you're not used to, and you might want to use maps or get directions to where you're supposed to be. Another reason would be if you're like maybe a businessman, you have to like take phone calls from clients. I know with iPhones, when you get like a text message, it makes like the little dingy noise, and then 2 minutes later reminds you that you got the message. So it kind of just like, it's in your mind like, oh, I wonder who texted me, and then like your phone reminds you, just like, okay. Another is with phones. Now that I've talked to you guys about why people might use your phones while driving, next could be the disasters that could happen if you guys do use your phones. Using your phone while driving, it can become very distracting, and it can be serious and potentially a deadly situation that can cause not only yourself but others around you. The brain can't multitask both using your phone and driving because it just can't process it safely. According to the National Safety Council, drivers who use their phones while driving, they're 4 times as likely to get into a crash. Like I said before, it's because the brain can't multitask the situation. It's like, for example, if you guys have ever tried watching your favorite TV show and trying to have a serious conversation with someone next to you. It's kind of hard because it's the win-lose situation, because either way you're going to be losing information from one of the 2 people or one of the 2 things. So it's the exact same thing with your phone and driving. Driving requires 4 different abilities, which is your visual ability, which is your eyes, your manual, which is your hands and your feet, your auditory, which would be to like listen to things around you, and your cognitive abilities, which is like your memory and your knowledge. So if you're talking on the phone, texting, surfing the web, or anything like that, like Facebooking or Twitter, you're gonna impair your abilities. So, meaning that your full attention won't be on just driving and everything around you. Another study, according to the National Safety Council, there's been over 50 research studies that have shown that using your cell phone is risky. Each year there are over like 1.3 million car crashes, hundreds of thousands of people that are injured, and unfortunately there's thousands of deaths to go along with that. Drivers don't realize that like when you're using your phone, you're just like, oh, you're just using your phone, nothing bad will probably come out of this, or this probably won't happen to me. But it distracts the brain from its primary task, which is driving. 100% concentration is involved when you're driving, and you never know what the car in front of you can do. You never know what's going to brake check you, or maybe a car from a different lane might just swerve into your lane. So with low concentration, you're seconds away from getting involved into a car crash. Talking on the phone reduces your concentration. You might miss a stop sign or a light signal, might run a red light, or any other signs that might be in front of you. So at that moment in time, you're not only controlling your lives, but you're controlling the lives of others, which is might be pedestrians walking with their families or just any nearby cars around you. Not only can like it be bad that like if you hit someone or you get into a crash, but also if you like run a light or a sign, there's also cops hiding everywhere. So not only will you probably be fined for using your phone while driving, which could cost you like hundreds of dollars, or get your car taken away, or maybe your license for like a year or something like that. But then you also have to think about the ticket that you're getting for running the light. And out of that, it's going to be expensive, and it's just not worth having to use your phone. You can just wait till a few seconds later. Now that I've spoke about the disadvantages of using your phone while driving, there are ways that you can prevent it, or tips that you can get out of using your phone. First would be just to like advertise it, and like if you're in the car with someone that's using their phone, it's like just takes a few seconds, just say, hey, like I'll text that message for you, or hey, like if you want me to do it, I'll do it instead of you doing it and driving. Another would be to, if it's really that important, it won't kill you to just pull over to the side of the road and take the call or whatever you were trying to do, because in the end, you'll be alive and safe and still with everyone else around you. And last but not least would be for legislatives to like ban it, because out of all 50 states, only 14 states have it banned to use using a handheld phone while driving, which is not even half of the states. So in conclusion, today I talked about the reasons why someone might use your phone while driving, different risks that might go along with it, and some tips and preventions that you can use in case if this were to happen to you. Personally, whenever like my phone rings, whenever I'm in the car, personally I like to just think about like the worst that could happen, which sounds really bad, but like whenever like I get a phone call, I'm just like, okay, I'd rather just wait till I get home to take it, because in the end, because if you do take the call, you never know what could happen, so you never know what might end up going on. So yeah, so thank you guys for listening.
All the phones go off at the same time. Jessica, tell us what you thought.
I really liked her presentation. I thought it was very informative. I did see that towards the beginning, mostly that your voice was kind of like shaky, but I just assumed it was because you were nervous. I mean, we all are. And I also noticed that during the first half of your speech, you would keep your focus more towards, like, I guess, this area of the room, but like towards the end, that's when you started kind of making contact with either side of the room, which, you know, I guess is not that bad after all. Although, you know, we've been told not to ask questions in the beginning, I thought that the questions you asked in the beginning were you know, appropriate, because, you know, you knew already that most of us, if not all of us, already have phones, so I mean, you would have got a response out of that. And also the second question you asked, that, you know, if we use our phones, you know, obviously everyone at least once in their life has used their phone while driving. So I think those were good questions to ask, because it made it sort of personal, or at least for me, because, you know, I was like, oh, okay, maybe she's gonna talk about something that, you know, something that's related to me, something I've done before. And I also like that you used good and reliable sources, especially during the first half of your speech. I didn't really hear that many sources after that, so I don't know what happened, but yeah, and then yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you already know how enthusiastic I am about the audience survey as an attention device, but I thought you did it pretty well. That's okay. Your goal was identified clearly, and the preview at least laid out the structure, although it seemed to me that the supporting points felt a little random. Your transitions are clear, but they need to be smoother and a little more interesting. Had a little bit of statistical information on the risks at the beginning. But mostly you're depending upon hypothetical examples for the rest of your presentation. And I don't think those work as well. You're missing an opportunity to have some strong emotional connection and motivation for the audience. Excuse me. By not including, it's a little bit easier to talk if I stand up that way. By not including some examples that are kind of dramatic and have an impact on people. Story of somebody who was in an accident and killed somebody while they were on the phone texting or doing those kinds of things. Some really strong negative visualizations in that situation I think could be effective. At the end, when you get to your solutions, how can you avoid doing this kind of thing? It basically comes down to you're trying to tell people to do something that they have every motivation in the world to do the opposite of. Trying to get people to stop using their phone while people are giving speeches in class is almost impossible. How are you going to get the phone out of their hand? Maybe write them a big ass ticket. That would help. I don't have the ability to do that yet. That's what I need. But I think, for instance, you mentioned only 14 states have outright banned it. I think we need a little bit more information about how consistent that is. What states have been successful at reducing accidents as a consequence of a ban on the use of cell phones in that situation. California is one of those places that's banned it, and they're pretty specific about that. You could also talk about, you give the hypotheticals again about what the consequences would be if you get caught. It's not hard to find actual examples. You can find what happens to somebody who does get this ticket. You can tell exactly what the fine is going to be, how much they're going to be paying in court costs, and what kinds of points it puts onto their license, their driving record, as a consequence of doing that. And that's not hard to look up and find those sorts of things. So I think you missed that. Delivery issues, you keep crossing your legs. That's where all your anxiety is coming out, in your feet, and you look uncomfortable there. I thought that you looked at the audience pretty regularly, and I thought you were very consistent about delivering the speech to us, so I appreciated that. So good audience contact. And Jessica said at one point, says, very informative. I'm going, yeah, but it's supposed to be persuasive. So, you need to get some of those motivational issues in there also. All right, thank you.